Hello and welcome to CIS 4510. In this session, we will continue addressing project communications management. This session will mainly discuss some of the tools and software packages used in communication or communicating information. In addition, the session will address the importance of presenting the data and how to present data effectively. A lesson learned report should be prepared not only by the project manager but by each member of the team individually. The report will include a reflective statement that documents important things an individual learned from working on the project. The project manager will consolidate all these lessons learned into a project summary report that can be used as a reference for future similar projects. It's also important to recognize and prepare project archives. Project archives are a complete set of organized project records that provide an accurate history of the project. These archives can provide valuable information for future projects as well. Many project teams create a project website to store important product documents and other information. Those websites should be secured, might be even set to private to limit access to stakeholders only. Those sites can be created using various types of software, programming languages, and dashboard sites such as wikis. If project information is classified, a secured FTP connection could be established, and stakeholders will be given a username and password to access it. The team can also use enterprise project management software to share information through a created website. This slide shows the interface of Microsoft Office Enterprise Project Management, which can provide web access to stakeholders. There are many software tools to aid in project communications. Today, many people telecommute or work remotely at least part-time. Project management software includes new capabilities to enhance virtual communications. New tools such as instant messaging and video conferencing tools can enhance project communications. Why do we need to present data? The purpose is to display the interpretation of project data in a more understandable form, such as tables, charts, graphs, and other virtual forms. The proper presentation of data will effectively and rapidly communicate complex issues and situations. The presentation will include summary of findings, conclusions, and recommendations which resulted from analyzing project data. Some of the recommended rules of displaying data are: data should be displayed in a simple way. Data can be textual but better and more understandable if displayed as graphs, tables, and charts. The charts and graphs should have clear descriptive titles and labels. The presentation should provide a narrative description of the highlights. When presenting, you should compare variables with different. You should not compare variables with different scales of magnitude. Let's go over the different methods of presenting data. Narrative or textual form, this is composed of summary of findings, direct quotations, and implications of the study. Tables are used to present clear and organized data. This is utilized for easy analysis and interpretation of data. Other methods of presenting data, which could be visual, like graphs, those are diagrams that show a series of one or more points, lines, line segments, curves, or areas. Graphs represents a variation of a variable in comparison with that of one or more other variables. The bar charts which use differently colored bars to represent different classes. Usually the y-axis represents frequency while the x-axis represents time of different classes. Tables are the arrangement of data in rows that represents records and columns that represents attributes. Each row and column should be labeled. Rows and columns with totals should be shown in the last row or the right hand column. This slide shows an example of a data represented in a project or presented in a project in a form of a table. As an example or form of graph, we can use the scale line graph, which represents frequency distribution over time. The y-axis will represent frequency while the x-axis represents time. This slide shows an example of a scale line graph that displays trends in network failures over 10 years period. This slide shows an example of a bar chart with frequencies over 11 months. Another chart is the clustered bar chart shown in this slide, and the chart shows the information could be clustered by site. So we have site 1, site 2, site 3, and site 4. We can also represent information of a frequency distribution by means of rectangles. This is a kind of representation that's called a histogram. The width of each bar represents class intervals, and the height represents corresponding frequency. This slide shows an example of a histogram where the y-axis is showing the frequency while the x-axis showing the different intervals. We can also use what's called a pie chart, which is a circular 360 degrees graphical representation. This chart compares subclasses or categories to the whole class or category using differently colored or patterned segments. This slide shows an example of a pie chart and different amounts of investment, IT investment by the strategic IT cluster. That will be all for this session. If you have any questions, you can call, email, Skype, or come in person during office hours. Thank you and have a great day.